Welcome back, ladies, to Sisterland Investors. I'm your host, Elizabeth, and today we have a special guest with us. We are joined by a woman who is the ultimate architect of confidence. She is a TEDx speaker, a top-ranked podcaster, and a visibility coach who has mastered the art of being the empowered woman. And that's what your podcast is called as well, right? All while raising triplets. Wow. Marta, our sister land investors are high achieving professional women and dedicated moms. They are building real estate empires, but many of them are still battling the quiet imposter syndrome. When they step into rooms of male investors or try to pitch a big deal, they aren't just here to learn how to invest. They're here to learn how to lead. You believe that visibility is a responsibility, not a luxury. Marta Spirk, welcome to Sister Land Investors Podcast.
Thank
Thank you for being here, Marta. I want to say thank you for everything you do for the community, for all our women out there. I appreciate everything you do. And I can't wait for our group of ladies to find out everything there is to know about you and everything you provide for your ladies. How you started, because I know you come from Brazil. So you could give us a little background for those that don't know you.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for having me. And I love the words. I'm going to have to take notes from that intro.
Thank
That
you.
was so good. Yeah, so I'm from Brazil originally, and my whole background is in languages. So from a very young age, I was obsessed with the American culture and English and, for movies, music, all that good stuff that has a huge influence down there. And that's the career that I pursued. Starting at 14 years old, I was tutoring English, like I was helping people already pass tests and do all kinds of things. So I already knew that my major was going to be in teaching and translating. So for the longest time, up until when I had kids, that was my identity was Marta is the walking English dictionary. And I learned French as well. So it was all about the languages and conveying other people's messages via translating. But then, as you can imagine, huge plot twist with having triplets. And in the meantime, I had already married my American husband. I moved to America, fulfilled my dream of coming to the United States, which was great. But then something really happened inside of me with having kids. And as motherhood is a huge transformation on so many levels for women. And I felt the pull to mentor. Like I wanted to share my own story and the things that I had gone through. And starting my business was really a way for me to empower myself that I could do it, that it was not something that I ever thought I was going to do was have three kids at the same time, but that I had to handle it and I had to make it work. And so the business was an extension of that. And throughout, the years, it evolved into helping women not only empower themselves, but especially women that are building their own businesses really understand the power of their voice and sharing their story. And I love how you put it, that visibility is a responsibility and not a luxury, because as a business owner, if you don't talk about your business, who will? So it's me understanding, hey, I have something that people really need and I believe in it. So I have to share it so they know about it.
I
So
love
that's been the evolution of me sharing, believing in myself and what I have to offer and encouraging women to believe in themselves too.
Thank you. I love that. Identity shift. I know you talk a lot about identity shift. For our ladies, they're mostly professional women, but
Mhm.
they're wanting to invest on an asset that is tangible and that could grow over generations. Marta, many of our ladies have a drive, but they still identify as just a mom. I'm
Mm.
one of, I'm one, or just an employee if they're dentists, lawyers, or attorneys. How can they use your empowerment roadmap to officially flip that little switch or that narrative and make their minds and show up as real estate CEOs or real estate investors before they even close the next deal? Like, what are a couple of tips or where can they start?
Yeah, I like to think, the infamous, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. There's always an era in our lives that we feel more confident than others. And that confidence is absolutely transferable. It's not immediate and it does take work and persistence, but it's all about repetition. I'm very an advocate for repetition because that's when you think about learning a language. It's not going to happen overnight. You're going to have to make mistakes. You're going to sound silly. People are not going to understand you. And then little by little, it starts making more sense. And you have to put yourself out there again and again and again. And this is with everything in life. I mean, we talk about kids learning how to walk, we talk about learning how to ride a bike. This is the human experience is we are beginners when we begin something new. And for some people, it goes a little faster than others based on their other skills or their life experience. And that's why it's an individual journey. So the other piece too is doing your best to avoid the competition and the comparison, which is very, very hard because that's how we gauge our progress is looking at what other people are doing. But we can't allow that to get us down. It's important to understand. And I think for me, with having triplets, that was a big one too. Because comparing my trajectory with a woman that is not married, or that is married and has no kids, or that
Right.
is married and has one child, it's a completely different universe. And this is with anything, right? So, oh, they sold faster, or they already have all of these clients. I don't know what they're going through. I don't know what their life is like. And frankly, after so many years, I've come to the point where I don't want to have their life because it's not mine. I want
Right.
to have my life and I want to build it the way I want to build it. So I think that's really the big shift is understanding it will take time and that is okay because we value things that require work. When anything is totally handed to us and requires zero dedication, we're not going to value it. And that's again part of the human experience is I'm going to be so much happier once I finally reach whatever it is that you're going for because I know what it took and I had to put in the work, you know? So I would say just, put it in your mind. It's not going to be overnight. And I'm okay with that because I want this for me, for my family, to inspire others, your children, because they're watching you. That's the other piece for me is my kids are watching me. Sometimes they don't understand. You're an entrepreneur. You don't have a job. You don't have a boss. Like, how does that work? It makes no sense. But little by little, they start catching on. Oh, this is how you pay for our stuff, right? You have to take those calls. You
That's
have to
so
talk to
true.
people, right? So
I
I hope
tell
that
my
answers
kids
it.
all the time, like when they were little, I would say, that call mommy has to take because that's going to pay for Disney World or
Yes.
Disneyland. And they would get very quiet and they're like, Mommy, are we going to Disney World? I'm like, yes, we're going to Disney World. So I guess repetition for the women here to envision themselves and see themselves as the real estate investor or as a real estate CEO, it has to be repetitive like walking into the role as an attorney or walking into the role as a dentist or nurse, seeing them or a teacher like you, just seeing themselves trying to shift that mindset takes practice, takes time. And like everything you said,
Yeah.
practice makes perfect.
Yes. Practice brings progress.
It does. And I like what, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say because sometimes the perfectionism can be a trigger word for some people that are bogged down by perfectionism. So practice brings progress. That's what we're looking for, right? A little better every single time up until the point we see ourselves that way and other people see it us that way and recognize us for that.
Yeah, I love that. That's so true. And we forget that everything in life is that way learning to drive, learning any skill. So I hope these ladies find that very valuable. So a lot of us, like me, myself, I like to be the bank. I like to lend out the money. In Sisterland Investors, we talk a lot about raising capital. I want them to, even if they have their money, that's good, but learn to ask for money and have a lien on the property to make their money work for them. Many women feel that they need 100-page spreadsheet to be taken seriously. You teach the power of signature story. How can a woman use your personal journey, like your personal story, her why to make potential partners or lenders say yes based on their authority rather than just numbers or spreadsheets?
Yeah, that is huge. One of the things that I train my speaker clients to do is to remove the about me slides when they do presentations. Because while you may think it looks good to list all your degrees and the different awards you've gained, people will forget. Many of them won't even know what that stands for. Instead, replace it with a story where you can talk about earning the degree, whatever, but that's not the focus. The focus is bringing people in the room with you, making that emotional connection. And that's why stories are so memorable because I'll forget what was in the bullet list of this about me slide, but I will remember how you made me feel when you're
That's
sharing a story. And we all have stories, and it doesn't have to be something super traumatic, although if it is, we can share that if that's something you want to share. And if it's something boring, because sometimes we feel our lives are boring,
Yeah.
but not to somebody else, especially if you know how to tell a story. And again, it's about being a good communicator. And that really conveys confidence. When you're talking about, building the confidence, it comes with repetition and mastering the skill of communicating. How can you share something concisely in an impactful way so that I will know what you meant and it will be fast, right? It's really a skill in
Right.
how, to summarize something, pick the better words. And I think now that we have AI, we have lots of leverage to help us consolidate information that before it would take a long time just using
Correct.
our brains, but it's all a skill that is developed. And so this is what I encourage anybody in any field is how can you bring in more stories in whatever it is that you do, whether it is a networking meeting, a sales call, a presentation, because stories are meaningful and stories create rapport and connection.
So let me ask you, I love that about stories and the leaving the about out.
Yeah.
I could see that. So what is your story? Like what do you when you go out and do because you said you came to Houston and did a presentation. What
Yeah.
is your little if you want to give us like a satellite view of your story to give an
Yeah.
example?
So I share my triplet story. I bring people in the room, which is part of my TED Talk as well. I bring people in the doctor's office when I heard the news that I was having triplets. So, yes, it is impactful to just say, hey, I have triplets and it's super hard. People will probably remember that because triplets is pretty unique. But when I bring them in the room and I tell them, I heard the news, I don't say what it is, and I felt overwhelmed, it builds anticipation of, well, tell us, what is it
Yeah.
that you heard? So now you're invested. It's kind of like watching
Right.
a movie. So that's one of the things that I share, which I always extract audience centered lessons, is what I call it. Because it's fun for people to know that I have triplets and admire me because it's probably hard, right? But that doesn't do anything for you if you don't have triplets or if you're not even a parent. So it's important for me to make that connection and say, you probably heard some news that shook up your world one day, right? You don't have to tell me, but you're imagining it. And you're like, oh, yeah, I remember that day in that meeting, or I remember that phone call, right? So that's what stories can also do is make you think about your life and your situation. And then I've done my job because I told you about me. I added credibility and context, but I also made you think about lessons and concepts in your life. Like you went through some hard stuff and you're still here, much like I've gone through some hard stuff and I'm still here. So that's part of the lesson. Another story that I like sharing was the first time I actually went to Disney World. You're talking about Disney
Yeah.
because I grew up obsessed with America, right? And then my first trip to the United States was to Florida to go to Disney World. And I say, yes, I was ecstatic to go and visit and see the characters. But to me, what was really interesting was to see real live Americans. Like that is what I wanted.
That was your first time ever here in America?
Yeah, in
When
1997.
was this?
In 1997. Yeah, I had just turned 10 and we made the trip. And then I share the story of I wanted to impress Americans with my English because I started taking lessons and I wanted to communicate.
You're so cute. I
And then I
love
messed
that.
up. So part of the story is I have an interaction with somebody at one of the parks and I say the wrong thing and I was mortified and then people laugh so that there's a human humor part of it. And then saying, "Hey, we all make mistakes when we're speaking, especially if English is not your first language, you're going to mess up." Right? But who
So
cares?
true.
You just keep going.
So true. That's a great lesson.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I love that.
Thank
So
you.
did you like Disney? Was it all you
I
expected?
did. It was wonderful. I took my kids a few years ago, and I have to say it wasn't as magical as it was going 20 some years ago.
But for your little kids, I'm sure they were like in awe.
I know. It's a
I love seeing kids for the first time, and I could tell when I'm there who are the first timers
right.
there. 'Cause it's a different energy, they're, like, in awe that you like to so using their story, whatever their struggles were, to getting the conversation. Efficiency for time-starved moms. We're all t That's me, I'm always starving for time. As a mom of triplets, you don't have time to waste. None of us do. Our ladies are often juggling kids, careers, and their portfolio. What is your number one strategy for building a personal brand and becoming visible in the real estate niche when you only have, let's say, 30 minutes, 40 minutes a day? What would you suggest for our ladies?
So I would say there's lots of different parts to this, and many people have probably heard a lot of it, which is, being intentional. priorities, what is actually going to give you the return? Because it's easy for us to spend time doing things that are not amounting to direct return, so what is the ROI? And that's why my work in helping women with messaging and speaking is focused on sales. And, I've been in the online business world for almost 10 years now, and people talk about income producing activities. And it's hard to gauge what is actually income producing activities because me sending an email following up with somebody could generate income, but it could not. So that's why being mindful of how you are communicating and positioning yourself as an expert. Again, the communication is key because then we are more in control of it leading to an actual sale because I'm being upfront about what I have, what problem I solve, right? So, fine tuning communication is a great way to save yourself a lot of time because you're not, going through all the steps of warming up to the relationship, but the conversation. Obviously, we need to build relationships. But to your point, the more you train yourself to be okay with what you were saying, asking for the money, asking for the sale, you are cutting that leg time so much more because you're willing to make yourself uncomfortable. That's what it is. Are you willing to get uncomfortable? And this goes for anything, right? You're practicing for a marathon. The more hours you put in, and it's probably going to hurt, right? Or whatever you're going to get there faster. You're going to improve your results. If you're willing to get uncomfortable, the more uncomfortable you're willing to get, the faster
So you
results.
recommend that to feel that uncomfort or the uneasiness and that little self-talk like, "Oh my God, I'm scared to walk into that room with all males. I'm the only female." Just push yourself. Give us a little tip. What do you do to push yourself over that little edge?
So I always like to say, what is your next level of discomfort? Because we always have one. And you were talking about this, right? There are some rooms that we feel more comfortable than others, depending on the person sitting across, the screen.
Table.
Some people are more intimidating than others, but that's how we grow is when we show up the way we would show up with somebody else that makes us feel at ease. So I always like asking myself, what is my next level of discomfort? And ask that to clients. Because if you're operating in that same level, you're not up leveling. So put yourself in rooms that are a little bit more advanced because you don't want to be the smartest person in the room, they say. You want to hang out with people that are going to push you, right? So I like asking that because for some people, doing a podcast interview is terrifying. They don't sleep the night before, right? They're sweating because they've never done it, and that's totally okay.
Right.
But then if you've done it a lot of times, then what's your next level? Am I going to, do a keynote? Am I going to show up more boldly on social media? So we need to be asking ourselves that question. How can I make myself uncomfortable today?
Speaking of that, I like that you said pushing yourself and being on podcasts.
Mhm,
My sister and I started this together, but she was a little uncomfortable. It's not easy. It takes, like
mhm,
you said, time, effort, level of confidence. For the ladies that do want to grow, I mean, I did this for almost 26, 27 years of real estate. I never had to get on social media.
mhm,
Everything was behind the scenes. But now that I'm putting myself out there and saying, well, if I could do it from home with my kids and it doesn't take a lot of time, I could help other moms, other professional women. Why not? And put myself out there. My sister and I started putting ourselves out there, but I saw that. She's like, I'll do the behind the scenes. You keep putting your face out there because I can't do it.
mhm.
Now, for the ladies that do want to up level and want to start social media, do you recommend social media or they don't have to do social media?
I think, yes, it is a matter of preference, but especially depending on the type of work that you do and you are the brand, which for a lot of entrepreneurs we are. People like to do business with somebody that they trust. So having an impersonal company versus putting a face to who you're dealing with, it makes a huge difference. And it also shows confidence. I recommend it to clients, and it doesn't have to be an all consuming thing because there is a perception that if you do social media, you need to be on all the time and you need to be sharing. And for a while in the beginning of my business, I did that because I liked it, but I also thought it was expected of me. And then I realized that I only share what I want to share. People don't need
Exactly.
things that I don't want to share, that I don't want them to know. But what's strategic, and again, being intentional, like what I was saying, it does matter. It's like if I'm a speaker and I showcase that I'm speaking at different places and putting pictures of that, or if I'm doing a photo shoot, or if I'm traveling, those things matter because it shows that I'm practicing what I preach and its credibility. Now, I don't have to share every picture of my trips, like what you're saying, tell them everywhere that I am or share about my kids' school. Cause some people are like, I don't want to share my kids' faces on social media. That's totally fine. It's up to you. You don't have to, but it's a matter of building that identity so that people feel that they can trust you and they get to know you a little bit more because people do the research. And that's what I say. You go to a networking group, first thing that they're going to do is, can I connect with you on LinkedIn? If you don't have an account, or if you have an account and it's an old picture that doesn't even match what your hair looks like, and your latest post was in 2020, resharing somebody else's, I know nothing about you. Now I don't trust you
Right.
anymore. And you kind of, I'm going to forget about you, as opposed to you just shared something the other day. You were at this event, you worked with a client, it's a testimonial. That intrigues me. So I feel like it's very helpful at this day and age to have a social media presence, but it's not all consuming. It has to be strategic because, again, we don't have that much time.
Yeah. We don't have that much time, especially as moms. Speaking of LinkedIn, I don't have a LinkedIn, or if I do, it's old. Do I need to upgrade that? Do you
I
suggest some?
would.
Yeah.
Especially, I did a lot of business on Facebook in my early years. And in the last 2 to 3 years, I've been leveraging LinkedIn a lot more. And I feel like people take it more seriously. It's a very professional network. Yes, there's room for, sharing some personal things, but not as much as Facebook is. And that's somewhere where people will go. It's kind of like your resume of sorts, right? They'll go to your website, but they'll also check you out, see how many connections you have, what school you went to. Like, it's a quick view of who you are. So I think it's all.
Okay, I need to work on that because I don't have one. Overcoming the perfection paralysis. We spoke a little bit about that. We all want to be perfect, but there's no such thing as perfect. Real estate can be very intimidating, and many women wait until they know everything. And I'll tell you, I've been doing it for 25 something years, and I still don't know everything. Every day I learn something. Before they make the first offer, you advocate for imperfection action.
Yes.
How can our sisters tell the difference between a smart, cautious versus a perfection? This is actually just fear in a fancy suit, like you said.
Yeah, I love that because it is a fine line and sometimes it's used as an excuse, right? I'm just being cautious when in reality, you're afraid of putting yourself out there. I think one way of bypassing that is having conversations with current clients and seeing the impact that you created and reminding yourself of that because we're all going to go through days and sometimes, weeks where we don't feel that knowledgeable or we don't feel like we have something valuable to share. And all it takes is somebody saying, thank you for that. It changed my life. And you're like, wow, I am doing something helpful here in the world, which
Yes,
we all are if we have businesses and we're serving people. But I always say, you're the person you spend the most time with. You're always there,
that's
no
so
matter
true.
where you go.
24/7, you can't get away from you.
So why not remind yourself of the good things about you? Because instinctively, we're always pointing out our own flaws. Oh, I should have done that. I shouldn't have said that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we already got that part down. Now it's about training ourselves to remind ourselves of the things people see in us that are good. Because I'm sure all of us, everyone listening, has had someone, whether it is friend, family, and especially clients, say, what you said impacted me. What you showed me really changed my life. We need to remind ourselves of that because we do know things. And that's why I love working with clients and doing client calls because then I start saying things and I'm like, I know things. That's interesting. I didn't expect, like we forget. We get bogged down. It's so much easier to focus on the negative things than on the
Oh,
positive.
yeah. So true. One of my friends told us it's good to create a folder. I don't know if
Mhm.
you have that with
Yeah.
all the good emails that you get or
Mhm.
all the good comments. Just snap a picture and throw them in the folder. And when you have that moment of self doubt,
Oh, looks.
open that folder and start reading all those good emails or, like you said, impactful messages that you get. I like that.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay. Last but not least, commanding the room, the male dominant room, because we're surrounded by a lot of males, but we're changing that. I'm trying to get more women here. Real estate is still very much boys' club in many circles. For women who feel overlooked or underestimated, in negotiation or networking events, what is your visibility hack?
So there's one thing that I saw recently that and it's a lot of what I guide clients to do too in terms of speaking is sometimes we're asking for a room at the table. Why not create the table? And I
Well, I like that.
what you're doing, Elizabeth, right? I mean, create the platform and invite the people over that you already want to be with, anyways. Obviously, that's not possible at all times, but when you are already creating opportunities for yourself, sometimes we're just asking so much for opportunities, which I think that is important. But while you're waiting to hear back, create your own, you know?
I like
That's
that.
what
Yes.
I that's what I do in terms of speaking is yes, pitch yourself, find organizations that you want to go and speak at, but host your own events. Host your own virtual event and invite people over. You don't have to wait. I think that's the missing piece is that sometimes we're waiting to be invited. We're waiting to be recognized. And it's like, invite yourself,
I
recognize yourself.
love that. I love that. That is so true. Because everyone gets so busy thinking, like you said, about them being invited where you can create your own.
And then people are going to say, wow, you're actually making moves and you're doing things because you're not waiting around. And then you're going to start getting invited because they see you as somebody that is bold. A lot of actually what I have built, especially since I'm not from here. And that's why I use myself as an example is I have, pretty well off parents in Brazil. For a while, my dad was like, I can open up a language school for you. I have office spaces.
That's nice. Yeah.
I could have done that, which would have been honorable and it would have been great. But I decided I wanted to start my own thing in a completely different country. And I made it happen. It wasn't overnight. You know what I'm saying? So think of all the people that are from here that have connections or a dad, that could introduce you to people and you're doing nothing with it. So
Exactly.
for
No,
yourself.
you have a great point there. Go out there and use your platform. Yes. Marta, where can our ladies find you?
So I'm pretty visible.
You are. You
Practically.
are.
And my name is pretty unique, so you should be able to find me pretty easily. Marta Spirk, my website, martaspirk.com. Like you said, I do have my book and also my podcast called The Empowered Woman. I am on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook, and I would love to invite listeners to also have a conversation. I love having discovery calls, what I call story to stage evaluation, kind of hearing people's stories, like where are they at? Where are they feeling stuck in terms of sharing their message and sharing their voice and their offer, more importantly. And we can talk about how I could potentially support with my coaching.
I love that. Well, our ladies definitely need you. There's a lot of times where I feel like I need you. My dial you right away. Is there any other information that you'd like to share with our ladies?
I don't think so. I think that's basically it. Put yourself out there and you're not going to regret it. Even if you do make a mistake, there's something powerful about being willing to be seen as you're growing. To your point about being perfect, people actually don't resonate with people that are perfect. There's no inspiration there. They want
Right.
to know that you went through something hard and you showed up anyway, because that gives people hope. So share that story.
We'll be talking to you soon again, I know. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you as well.
We'll see you soon. Ladies, don't let your wealth building journey stop here. Make sure you hit the follow so you never miss an episode. Download your exclusive Sisterland Investors Blueprint in the show notes below. And if you're ready to truly master your financial future, join our apprenticeship today. Let's build an empire of wealth together.